All right, Yellowjackets season 3, episode 4, 12 angry girls and one drunk Travis. Hmm. I don't know. I don't feel like there's any focus on drunk Travis,
I don't either. He's
right?
he's pretty quiet. I don't think he says anything at all this whole
Pretty
episode.
much nothing. Is that
Yeah,
supposed to be like he's inebriated so he doesn't assert himself or
maybe.
something? Like,
Maybe that's why.
it's weird that it made the title because I
Yeah,
was thinking we were going to see some drunken rant by him or some kind of event that takes place that somehow is, involved his inebriation of something that
sure.
would make it be in the title.
No,
But
there's nothing.
I would think like 12 angry girls and a one-legged man
Oh, that would
or
have been
something like
yeah.
that would make way more
Yeah,
sense because it's an oddly titled
I agree. I don't
episode
really
because I
understand the
feel like
title
Travis
for
has
that part at least.
almost zero like purpose in this episode.
Yeah, he
He
doesn't
just
have
kind
a
of
lot of.
votes.
Yep.
Like he puts his hand up. That's what like his involvement in this
Hmm.
episode. So anyway, I didn't even think of that until I read the title out, but I'm just like, why is he in the title?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because if you look at all the titles for every episode, I don't know. I'd have to look at every one of them, but off the top of my head, I don't remember them ever including someone's name.
I don't either. I don't
So
remember them though.
putting a character's name in the title, you would think that would be like
A big
they're a big
focus.
episode, they're a big
Sure.
focus of the show, but no.
Not in this case, at least.
Anyway, so pretty early on in the episode, we find out at least, um, you know, the mechanic's opinion anyway, that the brakes were not tampered with.
Yep.
That sometimes, these brakes fail, and he sees no signs of tampering. That this kind of stuff just happens, and he'll replace it, and that's that.
Hmm.
So, coincidence, or is it the supernatural forces of the forest coming for Shauna and Misty? I don't know. I don't know what to make of that. The fact, it could just add to the fact that she's on edge and this coincidence kind of set her off
Yeah.
and put her and Misty at odds with one another so that we can get to the eventual downfall of the characters going at each other.
I think it's pretty similar to what we see in the past where she has, she does not, she thinks Coach Scott set the fire. She's not willing to
Coach
budge for,
Ben,
or sorry, why did I say Coach Scott?
I
Coach
think, isn't his last
Ben.
name
Is it Scott?
Scott?
Wait. Anyway, Ben.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's Coach Scott. Okay.
right. That's his
Anyway,
last name.
she's
Right,
like
right.
convinced, she's
Yeah,
like, he did it, he set the fire, he's to blame. And like she doesn't really budge on that even after hearing like a really good, like Misty gives a great speech kind of saying like it could have been any of us. Like we don't have, they don't have any evidence to go off of. This is all just like what everybody thinks basically. And so despite like the fact that there is reasonable doubt, like Shauna has it in her mind, no, it's him, like I'm getting like he's going to be convicted for it. It's kind of the same thing as what happens with Misty in the future,
yeah.
where even though she has the mechanic telling her, nope, it was just an accident, like it just happened, like
She still thinks
she
it's
still is
Misty.
like, no, it's Misty, it's Misty.
That's a good point.
So I think that that's a good parallel. And just the fact that we also see in the past the, just kind of the relationship of Misty and Shauna and
Sure.
how shitty it is, really.
Well, sure. I mean, Misty goes up there and without any experience or education on the matter, she argues a pretty damn good case, litigates a pretty damn strong case in favor of Ben, and pretty much sways most people
She
onto
does.
his side. I mean, I
Yeah.
think they're out on the 2/3 majority by like one
Yeah.
vote after what she did, and Ben, of course, helped with that by his speech.
Yes.
But it's more of the strong arm Shauna approach that eventually gets people to flip. We'll get there because I definitely want to talk about that. But yeah, I you can see that rivalry, right there as well, just from Misty feeling very proud of herself and feeling like she's done something that matters,
Yeah.
and that she's seen as not incompetent or crazy in that moment, that she was actually able to be very impressive with
Yeah.
her ability to litigate that. So um and Shauna kind of taking that away from her, and then once again she kind of makes her way back into the Yellowjackets, and things are going well, and then Shauna has to like push her out again.
Yes. Yeah.
So yeah, I can see why all of those parallels matter and are there for sure.
I also still think that Walter could have messed with the brakes. Like just because the mechanics like this happens, I think that
You
it's
could still stage
possible.
it in a way
It's
where it looks like
possible.
it.
I
Yeah,
just am very we haven't seen Walter in a few episodes. But I'm very suspicious of him and like what he's
sure,
up to. Yeah.
sure. Because I don't know how Misty gets this email. Right, she goes into her emails and she gets like a photo. And now I think we're supposed to
This is at the very
assume
end, yeah.
that this is like
This is part of her
her
true crime
her true
like
crime
groups
people.
that she's a part of.
But the fact that it's already on there, and it's of someone she knows, and it's very high up in her email lists and whatever,
Sure.
it feels like Walter would be the one who sent her that.
Yeah.
And it's so early on, no one knows about it. It literally just happened. We'll get there too, because there's definitely a lot of suspicion around this, and that's a big thing, of course, kind of a shocking thing out of nowhere. But outside of that, there's not there is stuff definitely to talk about. But this is an eventful episode. I think it is a very important episode, but it's not one that leaves a lot of discussion to be had. But
Hmm.
we'll talk about what we can. Um, First thing I want to talk about here is Callie has a bunch of gray hairs.
We've
I've been
noticing it a
noticing it.
lot this
I've been
episode.
noticing it for the last few episodes, because I had mentioned in the first episode how Yellowjackets is eventually going to run into a Stranger Things issue,
Yeah.
where these are supposed to be like, 16, 17-year-old girls, and the actresses are now in their 30s. And the same thing with Shauna's daughter, Callie. She's, supposed to be 17 or something, 16, and she's a 30-year-old woman. And it's like every time she turns her head now, you just
She
see
had a
like
lot of gray hairs.
flashes of grays all throughout her head. Now, of course, you can get gray hairs when your hair age, but it's becoming very noticeable that the people are aging. It doesn't really matter to the show at all much, but I thought it was funny because I really noticed it this
Yeah,
episode.
yeah. There's it's very obvious this episode is all.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
whatever. They need to use better lighting to hide her grays, I guess. One of my notes here that I feel so strongly about is Misty is the best. Like, she
I
to
love
me
Misty, yeah.
is a character that, if she died, if she was to be killed off, like if that was at the end Misty and not Lottie,
Oh yeah, I would
my
dramatically change the show.
my interest in this show would drastically be reduced.
Yeah, I
Not that I
agree.
don't like the show. I do like the show, so don't take it that way. But I feel like Misty is the glue that holds this whole show together for me, both her younger self and her older self. She's easily my favorite character in the show. And even more to the point, though, is that Shauna has become so, every episode, she becomes more and more insufferable.
Hmm.
She has become such an unlikable character. I wouldn't ever say she was super likable to begin with, right? When we meet her, she's already stole her best friend's boyfriend from her, is screwing around behind his back. She's obviously kind of made her husband a cuck to her.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of things that are unlikable about Shauna, but for Shauna is a little more innocent
Hmm.
in the beginning, and she feels that way. But man, as this has went on, both the old and young Shauna have become more and more villainous, more and more monstrous. And that's not a bad thing. I just
No,
don't I
yeah.
don't know. I
We've
don't
talked in like some of the previous episodes just about Shauna's arc in general and how yeah, she's not a super likable character, but I think the show does try to kind of illustrate both sides to her because nobody in the show is perfect. But I agree. I think Misty for me is one of the is my favorite character and definitely the most entertaining character and everything. So if something does happen to her character down the road, that will I think definitely drastically change like the tone of the show as well.
Oh man, it'd be
Because I'm
so
very
much worse
interested
off.
in her character arc, from the younger version of herself and to now and everything. So
I want her to be the last woman standing in this show.
I mean, yeah, that would be cool. I don't know. I really have no idea where the show ends. Like, I don't have a um, concept of like that end in my head. So,
Someone had said in the comments they were being fucking cocksuckers about it because people get very aggressive with like, why didn't you research this? Because we're watching 700 other things
oh,
and we like to just, you know, randomly talk about these shows for fun. Um, and if you want an explained video, there's a million of
there's a
those.
lot of those. Yeah.
But they had said like the producers and the showrunners had always said they wanted the show to be like 5 seasons.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
supposedly there is like an arc
An end.
already,
Yeah.
established and
Yeah,
whatever.
that's
So
great. I
thanks
don't.
to that cocksucker for that.
Yeah, I just don't know where we end, I guess. But yeah, I guess the other thing that happens in this episode, that you had kind of said was with Ty and Van,
Yeah.
where they definitely like have put together, okay, maybe this guy dying, the waiter, is what caused Van's cancer to start to go into remission.
Yeah.
And so they go out and they take like a Queen of Hearts card out of some card deck, and they try to let the wilderness decide like who the sacrifice will be, essentially. And they go so far as to like following the guy home. And I thought like, oh, okay, like, so because they didn't
Yeah.
kill the waiter. Like the waiter's chasing them and then like almost gets hit by a car and like he has a heart attack.
Right.
They don't necessarily do that, although they are the reason that it happens.
Right. They're the
So
catalyst.
yeah, I thought that them following this guy home, like that they were gonna see some accident befall him, or he was
Some
gonna get
final
sick.
destination.
But they're like gonna
Yeah.
Ty's gonna go in and kill him.
Yes.
Like Van has to, which is exactly what you had said. Like Van is like, I don't know, like it doesn't need to be like this.
Yeah.
And Ty tells her, okay, like meet me at the park, and then they sort of have this like little romantic thing. But I 100% think that Ty is gonna go back and kill that guy or go kill somebody else.
I think she already did.
Yeah. Maybe she already did.
I
You're
think
right.
she killed Lottie.
Oh, you think she killed Lottie? Oh.
Yeah, so we have a couple suspects here, right? So they conveniently leave it very open for our dissection here and our theories on who killed Lottie. Could it be Melissa, behind the scenes? She hasn't made an appearance yet. Maybe, right? Obviously, it's a possibility if she really is out and she is who's following Shauna and whatnot. We don't know. We haven't got there yet. Will it be Hilary Swank? We don't know. But regardless, so we have that as an option. Of course, Walter is another option that's there. But of the Yellowjackets that we have and we know of, the only one that I don't really see a good strong case for is Misty. I guess she left hours ago. So I guess there is. All of them are suspicious. So you have Shauna, who drove into the city by herself to get a cat, right? So she's been gone and unaccounted for hours. You have Ty, who tells Van, like, meet me here in an hour. So she has an hour. They're both in the, we see Lottie. She's in the city,
Yeah.
which is where Ty and Van are, right? And she's out on the street in the city. So they're close to her in some way. Now, how Ty would know to like be like, okay, give me an hour, and then she's gonna go hunt Lottie down and find her and kill her in an hour, and then meet her in the park for pretzels and a something that she's already arranged,
right?
Where a horse-drawn carriage has come to the Central Park to pick them up for some romantic date. That seems a little far-fetched. Not impossible, but I don't know. I feel like because Van doesn't want to go through with it, and she doesn't want to lose her, right? Like they're having that moment, especially in the park, but that happens, I think, after her death.
Mm-hmm.
That she doesn't want to let her go, right? It's very obvious Ty is in love with Van, doesn't want to lose her, and will kill people to keep her around. Yeah. But she doesn't want to lose Van by going against her wishes and killing someone. So she's going to have to do it behind her back. But in doing it behind her back, will she be able to target that specifically at Van as opposed to like giving it to her or whoever the hell else? I don't know. But regardless, I don't think that's where her mind is at. It's just like, I got to kill someone to get Van better. But yeah, Shauna is unaccounted for. She drove into the city to get a cat. Misty left work hours ago, comes home and checks an email, but it does seem like she's finding out about Lottie's death
Mm-hmm.
from that email.
Mm-hmm.
So I
It
would
does.
check her off the list for the most part. I mean, of course, they can write it any way they want. But then Ty and Van both are separated from each other for an hour in the city Lottie is in.
Yeah.
Van looks completely uninterested in killing anybody. She has the opportunity right there. Easy. Doors open. She can walk in with her. Ty will probably do it for her. Why would she then walk over, find Lottie, and kill her?
Yeah.
That doesn't really make any sense. I would say Van is 100% eliminated from the suspect list for me in Lottie's death. Ty is probably the most likely of the Yellowjackets because she has the most motive to do it.
Yeah.
And Shauna's sights right now are all on Misty, and potentially she's like having these thoughts that maybe Melissa's around somewhere.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Misty's head's all in the Shauna stuff. And, you know, her head also is maybe on like Walter and what he's up to.
Yeah.
So I feel like, you know, the most obvious now, is it possible that, you know, Callie went out and killed her because she tried to kill her mom and she was just trying to get close to her, like keep your enemies closer kind of thing? Doubtful.
It's possible.
It's
but
possible.
I doubt it. I hadn't even really thought about Ty, but that feels like the most likely scenario, especially just because, you know, her and Lottie do speak on the phone because she's trying to get an answer from her. Shauna is also possible because of this idea of like trying to, you know, get good karma. Like I could see her going and like wanting to kill Lottie.
I
think it's more than anything. It's either like Melissa or somebody outside of the like group that we have now, or it's Ty.
Do you believe that Shauna actually buys into Jeff's good karma thing?
I think she just gets scared after the incident in the freezer.
Yeah.
And I think that she is like, maybe I can do this and like maybe it will be good karma.
Posing some random stray cat as someone else's cat, and
I mean,
she thinks that's going to bring her good
that
karma.
perfectly sums up like how like messed up she is, and he kind of calls her out on it too, like why would that? But you know, and then of course he's like, oh, it was a good idea though, like but yeah, that is kind of Shauna, where it's like her moral center is pretty broken. And I think we see the start of it obviously in this episode in the flashback, because she gets this like power rush, you know, after everything that goes on with the trial. And
now that's power.
Yeah, well, she just like as you said, she strong arms everybody into switching, which is really interesting because I think the reason that the other people switch is because Lottie gets like a vision and feels like the wilderness is saying like, yes, this is what we need to do. Like she sees like Shauna's strength and she switches, which then makes everybody else switch, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's all because Lottie changes.
Sure, yeah, she gets.
Well, she's not the first one. Obviously, the other girl goes first.
like you said, it's the wilderness that kind of gets her to flip. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, realistically, Lottie has tons of enemies she's made, right?
Sure.
She started a cult. She abandoned it.
Well, because before she's dead, like we see her being like, you know, practicing in a mirror, like some type of an apology. Yeah. Right. So who she's going to apologize to? It sort of felt like she was going to apologize to like her followers or something, you know. But like, we obviously don't see anything like that. But yeah, maybe Shauna, maybe that's who she was
I mean,
practicing.
that's who she's
And then
had
they
the
meet
biggest
up and
fallout with
yeah.
recently.
Yeah. I don't know. But
The Lottie death reveal. Here's the thing that I don't like about the Lottie death reveal is that it was kind of unclear of who it even was. Like we
yeah.
were looking at it, I was like, it seemed like such a big character to kill off and to barely frame in a way where you can even tell who it is. You kind of see the side of her face and whatever, and I was like,
Yeah.
is that is that Lottie? Like, would they really kill off a major character like that? Just like that and barely show it? Like, I don't know. I don't like how that shot was done because it was. I actually had to after we finished it. I was looking at you. I was like, "Is that Lottie?" And you're like, "I think so."
Yeah,
And
we
then we
were
like
both a
went
little
and like I
unclear.
went on freaking on YouTube and whatever and was like ending explain video and clicked it on and everyone was like Lottie's death and I was like, okay, that was
So
for
it
sure
definitely
Lottie.
was
I guess like
Lottie.
we're all yeah, that has to be. It's such a major character to have just like a quick shot of her dead body and being like,
Yeah.
who's that?
Yeah.
Um, we actually found out. I don't know if we knew this before or not because we watched the first episode like 4 years ago now. At this point, uh, Lottie's full name is actually Charlotte. I didn't. I don't know if I knew
I feel
that.
like we probably did, but it was just funny because she's calling herself Charlotte when she's doing her little pep talk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure we've
Makes
heard that
sense.
before, but
Yeah.
for some reason, I never put that together. Like,
Yeah.
oh, Charlotte, Lottie.
Yeah.
Got it. And then also, what was it? Natalie's
Last
last
name. I
name
don't even
was like
remember it now.
Scaramucci or something. No, I'm just making that shit up. It was some wild, crazy long last name. And I
Yeah.
was like, what? Have we ever
Yeah.
heard that before? These are totally unimportant notes. But yeah, I think that it would be really dumb, obviously, if some random person from her cult killed her. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's got to be someone we know. That being said, Shauna's brakes were cut, but they weren't. Right? So they kind of
Right.
took that back, but this isn't that. This is a death of a major character, and one of them has to be responsible for it.
Mm-hmm.
I think with Ty being the most obvious suspect, it's probably not
Maybe,
just because
yeah.
she's so obvious. And once again, as I said, she's going to run off in an hour and get a horse-drawn carriage and meet her there and have killed Lottie all and get there in an hour. That seems very quick
Yeah.
because I
But
don't even think she wouldn't even know where she was. She could be anywhere, right? Like she doesn't know
unless she
she's in the
calls her and is
city,
like, let's meet up.
but she wouldn't know that at that point when she said, "Give me an hour." Like
No.
Lottie could be 3 hours away
Right.
for all she
She
knows.
wouldn't. She wouldn't. That's why I thought maybe she went back and killed that guy.
Or,
um
maybe just she did just run off to do that. And so in happenstance, she ran into Lottie,
Oh, true. Yeah.
right?
And then does that then
But
yeah.
so where Lottie's body is, though,
It's that like she's like pushed
so
downstairs.
there's stairs, and these stairs are in some vision that she had in a previous episode.
Oh, are they?
Lottie.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
So she kind of had a premonition of her death. Hmm.
apparently so.
Yeah. Um yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like we kind of talked about like a lot of the possibilities
Yeah.
for who could have killed her, and I'm sure that the next episode won't may not get an answer, but
Oh, I don't think we're
we'll
gonna get
get
an
we'll
answer
get
on who
more,
kills
maybe
Lottie
some
next
more
episode.
like hints or something to go on.
I don't think we'll get that until like episode 9 of
Yeah.
this season or something. I don't think they're gonna reveal who killed Lottie for a while.
Mm. Yeah.
So
We'll see.
yeah, I mean, yeah, mostly just like this is the trial. That's like probably 75% of the episode. Um, Jeff loving playing bingo and
Oh
hanging
yeah,
out with the
that was
old
really
people
cute.
because Jeff is like the most likable, most redeemable character in this show.
Sure.
I feel like he's never really done a terrible thing. He's just allows himself to be manipulated by his wife is probably his biggest crime.
Yeah.
He loves his wife too fucking much. I think
Yeah.
is his biggest issue. And he'll do anything to keep her happy.
Yeah. I really like seeing him having fun with the elderly people playing bingo. I thought that
I
was really
hope
cute.
those results come back benign.
They were all laughing. It was great. That's like exactly the kind of, I mean, it like boost his confidence because he was going down this whole like journey this episode about being like, I'm gonna donate stuff. I'm gonna try and like do all these good deeds to make up for, the guilt that he feels, which makes sense. And
Who do you
so
think locked Shauna in the freezer?
I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, Misty is not there. Like, it's not Misty. Misty had left. So Melissa, Melissa's following her around,
Or
right? Or it just
or the
closes.
or the second option. Yeah, or I shouldn't say second option, but another option. I guess a more um, an option I don't think most people would be talking about, but it's
The
the
wilderness.
wilderness,
Sure.
supernatural.
Yeah, it just closes and
It's just
is
turning
yeah.
them against each other
Yeah,
to
maybe.
make them suspicious of one another, and it's like closing the freezer and locking her in the
Yeah.
bathroom and whatever.
Yeah. Love seeing Jackie though there, seeing the mental projection and all of
But I
that.
don't think the wilderness works for what happens at the restaurant, right? Like that has to be
I feel
somebody.
like it needs somebody, yeah, it's like working through someone, which is why I would think it might be Melissa. Because Melissa's the one that's all obsessed with Shauna
Or maybe
and
she's doing it to herself.
maybe, yeah, maybe she closed
Maybe
it
she's
on her
completely,
own and
she's in her head and she's, seeing Jackie and she's, she
I mean the
closes the
door's
door on
definitely
herself.
shut, yeah.
She can close the door on herself.
Yeah.
And when the guy opens it, it just opens right up. There's like the thing she's pressing should work.
Mm.
Right? That's an emergency exit, that thing, and it's not
Mm-hmm.
locked. There's nothing put in front of it.
Yeah.
Right? So that might be evidence that
Yeah.
Shauna, I mean, they see things in their heads. They're not
Yes.
sane people.
No, they're not. None
So
of
is
them
it
are.
possible Shauna's just doing this to herself? That
Yeah.
she's the one, leaving phones. Maybe the description of the person that they gave
Is Shauna?
is
And
herself.
she's like,
We never hear who it is, so
no.
they're like, oh, it's a woman, like a heavy set woman with dark hair or whatever, and she's hearing it, and she just blocks it out, or is just like, maybe she's not aware, maybe she is, but maybe it's fucking just Shauna doing it to herself.
Maybe. Yeah. It's possible.
Maybe she wasn't even trying to press on the brakes.
Yeah.
No, because the brakes are broken. Never mind.
Yeah, the brakes are broken.
So yeah, no, I don't know. I feel like that's a possibility as well.
Yeah.
But because Hilary Swank is supposed to be in this season, because Melissa has become such a big character,
Yeah.
I feel like I don't know. Maybe she'll imagine her. I don't know. Anyway, enough theories. I'm getting out of control. Anything more?
No, I think that's probably everything
Yeah.
for this episode. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's that. All right. Well, we'll see you in the comments. You got any more theories, ridiculous guesses? Let us know.
Yes.
All right.
Bye.